Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 2nd October. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 12. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, fewer GST slabs possible after rise in revenue. Jaitley. So the Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, is saying that the number of GST slabs means number of rates at which GST is applied. So the standard rates are 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%, apart from some goods which are zero rated, exempted from GST, some goods which are having 28% plus a cess which is at variable rates applied to them, plus also gold which is at 3%. So there are different rates. So this GST slabs, number of slabs will be reduced as such once revenue neutrality is achieved. So revenue neutrality means that the revenue which the government was earning before implementation of GST is achieved with GST implementation also. So that's what it is said, that once there is revenue buoyancy, we are at a particular level, then we can think of improvement in GST, reforms in GST and reduce the number of slabs. So this is there. So he also says that in society which did not conventionally mind being a non-tax compliant one, people are realizing the virtues of compliance which comes with passage of time. So this is the reason for tax integration. So the taxation reforms and making people pay taxes, bringing in tax compliance is what the government is trying to achieve. Then next news item is banks asked to enable core banking in Hindi. So as we are seeing that government is endorsing Hindi, the Home Ministry has asked all banks in public sector as well as in private sector to enable their core banking facility in Hindi as well. They say that the databases have to be updated in Hindi and customers should not be compelled to fill forms only in English. It also says that software that would help banks transact in Hindi has already been developed by Infosys. So it also endorses that other regional languages can also be brought in, like some states like Gujarat, Maharashtra have done it. ATMs is already having the Hindi option. So he says that as per the Official Languages Act 1963, this is the Secretary in Department of Official Language under the Ministry of Home Affairs saying that as per Official Languages Act 1963, there is no provision for punitive action for not using Hindi in official communication. But the language can be has to be promoted. So that can be done only through persuasion and encouragement. There cannot be any compulsion. So this is there. 2016 actually the government has initiated steps. The Official Language Department had picked up the 2011 report of Parliamentary Standing Committee on Hindi and it accepted 110 out of 117 recommendations of the report, and advisories were sent to all states and government departments to implement the recommendation. So this is endorsement of Hindi language. Plus also we have seen some controversies too. Also other recommendations, as you can see, they are also remaining. They have been accepted and these are recommendations on financial services in Hindi. So now these are also being implemented. The President accepted these recommendations in August 2017. The other controversies which are there with respect to Hindi language are in the southern states. You can see in Tamil Nadu too, the DMK leader has accused BJP government for imposing Hindi in non-Hindi speaking states and turning India into Hindia. In Karnataka also we have seen in July 2017, Karnataka CM wrote to the center because Bangalore Metro Rail Corporation was having its signboards in 3 languages, where Hindi language and script was also being used. So this was also not to the liking of the people. So these were the points picked up as such. Now the next news item is Catalans defy Madrid to vote in referendum. So this is regarding Catalonia, which is a region in Spain. You can see here, Barcelona also lies here. So it is having its own distinct language and culture. It is a rich region and it wants independence from Spain. It has held a referendum, another referendum. This is actually the second referendum which is being held, where the people of this region vote whether they want independence from Spain or not. So this is a second such vote which has taken place presently, and already the Spanish court, constitutional court, has called it unconstitutional because the constitution of Spain does not allow any region to become independent. But the regional government here is adamant. It went ahead with the polls where the Spanish government from Madrid, the capital of Spain, here sent their forces here police here so that this voting does not take place. So this was there. Spanish riot police fired rubber bullets on the activists who were holding the polling stations in Catalonia, which have been declared illegal by the Spanish Constitutional Court. And this, as I said, was a second such vote, a second referendum in 3 years. So this is on the question on independence from Spain. Then the next news item is Centennial Pride. Patna University turns 100. So Patna University, which had been founded in 1917 by the Imperial Legislative Council under the British rule. This is the country's 7th oldest university and it has completed 100 years. So it is a centenary celebration, and this iconic building of the university is on the banks of river Ganga. So this is there. The next is Yamuna in distress after emergence. So this is regarding river Yamuna. So after the 9-day long Durga Puja festivities, the idols of Durga, goddess Durga, were submerged in rivers, and here in Delhi they were submerged in Yamuna river, and we saw the dying river again being polluted because half submerged idols of Durga, many of them are made of plaster of Paris, and these plastic bags with glass bangles, flower petals and other decorations made of metal and plastic have again polluted the river. The National Green Tribunal had already given strict orders in September 2017 as such on these submersions, as complete ban on POP and paints with high levels of lead for making idols, but this is not followed. This was 2015 NGT order. So this ecologically sensitive area of rivers has to be safeguarded, but then this is not being followed. Even Central Pollution Control Board, Delhi Pollution Control Board has given its guidelines, but they are not followed. So this is the status of rivers in the country being highlighted. The next is, let Ayodhya be melting pot, says Mahant Vedanti. So this is a Mahant, a sadhu, who says that in the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid dispute, as the Supreme Court has also asked for a consensual decision, means all parties coming together and coming to a consensus to end this dispute. It has said that an interfaith Vishwadharmi Sri Ram Manav Bhavan can come up in Ayodhya in this region. So this will be built on the disused 67-acre plot of land which is adjacent to the makeshift temple at Ram Janmabhoomi in Ayodhya. So this will become a pilgrimage for all religions: Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, Judaism as well as Jainism. So this is a proposal being put forth. Vishwadharmi Sri Ram Manav Bhavan. Then the next news item is Supreme Court quashes order clearing accused in TN Ponzi scam. So this is Tamil Nadu Ponzi scam. So you should understand what is a Ponzi scam. This particular scam may not be important. This is a 2004 scam in which Sri Ram Group was involved. So here it was PNL Nidhi Limited. So this was the Ponzi scam, in which the scheme actually is that of an investment scheme. So an investment scheme is promoted, and if this scheme is such, one thing, it will say that it will give huge returns. So whoever pays in money, they are getting huge returns as such. Say in a month, the money will be doubled. So initially people will invest little amount, but when they see monthly, they are given double amounts. So then they'll invest more and more in the scheme. New investors are attracted by word of mouth. People start investing more and more and more people come in. But then this scam is the case because how do they get the money to double and repay the investors is through a fraud. They are not investing this money, the pool of fund which has been accumulated, it is not invested in some productive activity or business which will generate profits and those profits are distributed. That is not the case. What they do is, the new investors who are coming in and bringing in money, that money is used to pay up the old investors at regular intervals. So in such a way it goes on and on till the time that the scheme collapses. They don't have money, and they take away all the money and run away. So then all people are left, when they have accumulated enough, they flee. So this is called a Ponzi scheme, named after Charles Ponzi, who had duped thousands of Americans in the 1920s in this postage scam scheme which he had started. So all such schemes are called Ponzi schemes. So one such similar scheme was going on in Tamil Nadu, and in this case actually the High Court had acquitted criminal proceedings against the director because he was appointed later, but then it was highlighted that he was the one during whose time this Ponzi scam divergence had taken place. So that is why Supreme Court has quashed the order of this Madras High Court, and criminal proceedings will again be initiated. So this is there. Then the next news item is Ambala gets ready to host Rafale jets. So this is regarding Rafale jets, the Dassault Rafale, the Dassault Aviation Company, the French manufacturer of Rafale, with whom we have had a deal in September 2016. Actually, this is a very old deal. It's actually for multi-role combat aircrafts. India had a bidding process which had been initiated, and finally, the Dassault company and this Rafale fighter jet was selected finally for the deal. So actually, we wanted around 125, 126 fighter jets. But then there was a huge amount, means initially say around 15 fighter jets would come directly from Dassault, but remaining would be manufactured through HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, through technology transfer. And the Dassault had to take responsibility for those Rafale jets also, which Dassault was not ready, and the scheme and the deal could not take up. So that is why later in September 2016, we signed a 59,000 crore deal with French government for buying 36 Rafale jets in flyaway condition. So this deal is now being put into effect, and 2 bases will be developed where these Rafale jets would be deployed, and one is the frontline base in Ambala and another one is in Harsimara base in West Bengal. So here infrastructure has been upgraded, that has been spoken of. The Rafale fighter jets would also be carrying nuclear and other missiles as such too. So this is also significant. So they increase the potency of India to fight Pakistan as such, and Ambala base, which is close to the border. So this is regarding Ambala getting ready to host Rafale jets. Then next is Crimea faces season of discontent. So this is regarding Crimea, which was part of Ukraine, but around 3 years ago, Russia took over Crimea. There also a referendum was held in 2014 where the natives voted overwhelmingly to rejoin Russia. The reason being that the large number of people in this region, a major majority, more than 90%, are of Russian origin. They speak Russian language. So that is why they are closer to Russia than Ukraine. But it was part of Ukraine, the country as such. So now Crimea, which has been under Russia for more than 3 years now, is seeing the same suffering. The Kremlin appointed bureaucrats are also proving to be just as corrupt and inept as their Ukrainian predecessors. So here the international sanctions are also in place. So this because Russia has annexed this territory which belongs to Ukraine. So that is why there are international sanctions too. There are food prices have also increased drastically in various aspects of life like banking, travel are affected. So the people here are again discontent with the government which is being appointed by Russia. So this is the case here. You can see one more issue which is there, which the Ukrainians are facing, is regarding the government taking over thousands of residents to courts because they are confiscating small land holdings which are distributed freely as a campaign in 2010 when Ukraine was controlling this region. So this is the Black Sea Peninsula, the Crimea region. You can see it's a peninsular region surrounded. Peninsula means surrounded on 3 sides by water. So it's called the Black Sea Peninsula. So this is the Crimea region which now is under Russian control. So Russia had a deal with Ukraine where it is having its Black Sea fleet. So this was located in Crimean territory. So when Ukraine actually was part of former USSR. So when disintegration of USSR took place, this region went to Ukraine, but Russia had a deal with Ukraine with which it was able to have its military stationed here, the Black Sea fleet stationed here, and later as we saw, the discontent escalated and eventually Crimea was annexed. So here you can see this is Crimea, and this is a Russian territory. This is a strait. Strait is a narrow strip of water body separating two land masses. So this Kerch Strait is what separates Crimea and Russia. And here you can see the population here in Crimea. The percentage of people speaking Russian. As you can see, 75 to 100% in Crimea speak Russian. These are also other regions in Ukraine where Russian speaking population is high. This is also held by Russian backed separatist fighters, this region in Ukraine. Then the next news item is GST, old habits spur poor compliance. So this is regarding GST filings for the month of August. July was the first year when GST was, first month in which GST was implemented, and now the next month in which is in August, in which the GST filings had to take place. The last date for filing GSTR 3B form was September 20. But it has been seen that only 55% of those who were required to file have done so by September 25 as well. So it is said that GSTR 1 is a detailed return, and it's a huge problem because the amount of details needed and format, it is not straightforward. So it becomes a big issue for businesses. So once GSTR 1 form is filled, then the GSTR 3B is much simpler. So these are the complications which taxpayers are facing, because of which we are even seeing delay and compliance has gone down for the second month, August, for GST. Then the next news item is coal is still the secret of our energy. So this is an article regarding coal and its significance in energy generation in the country. We are emphasizing on renewable energy even under COP21, that is the Conference of Parties under UNFCCC, the Paris Accord, which we have signed. So under this too, we have obligations, and we want to achieve renewable energy capacity of 175 gigawatts by 2022. But still, the role of coal cannot reduce. So that's what it said, that the share of coal in total capacity is about 62% presently, but the share in generation, power generation, is about 80%. So this is the significance. It says that there have been recommendations coming forth from Niti Aayog too. Niti Aayog has sought suggestions from experts, and it came forth that the plant load factor for India's thermal power capacity has dropped from 2007-8 to presently. So it has come down to 79%. So even if this is increased to 85 to 90%, means plant load factor is increased. So this will result in more power generation with minimal cost. So compared to solar power and wind power, the cost here will be very less. So that is why coal's role in power generation in the country cannot reduce. We already have coal reserves. We also import coal. Even on coal production as such too, and coal usage, there is a fund, there is a levy which is imposed, which goes to Clean Environment Fund at the rate of 400 per ton. So this also can be utilized for renewable energy as such. So this is there, and it is said that as per the obligations under COP21, the Paris Accord, to India's renewable energy capacity should be 40% of the total capacity by 2030. So currently it is 28%. So even if this goes to 40%, we have 175 gigawatts renewable energy program implemented. This will go to 40%, but still the role of coal will continue to be there. It may not increase to the same extent, but it will not reduce as well. So this is there. It also gives a comparison with Chinese global emissions and its share in pollution. So Chinese global emissions is close to 30% and share in pollution is 17%. While India's share in global population is 16%, while emissions are only 6 to 7%. So we should have usage of coal continuing till the time we can afford. Renewable energy would also be brought in. So these are the targets under Paris Climate Accord 2 for India, China, USA and EU listed here. Then the last news item is, what is total return index? So this total return index is an index for stocks. So this is used by equity mutual funds schemes, where it shows not just the price returns of the stock, but also the dividends paid out on the stocks are taken into account for seeing the total returns. Means the dividends which have been paid, they are also taken into account. So the overall scenario of how the returns are coming from a particular mutual fund scheme are coming forth. So investors can understand the actual picture, that what exactly she earns from the mutual fund investment, and also fund managers, they have to work a little harder to make the right stock picks for their mutual fund. So this is the total return index. So these are the news items. Thank you.